The air reaches you before the light does. Cool stone breathing against your skin, a faint trace of straw and old sweat drifting through the narrow window above your sleeping mat. Rome is waking somewhere beyond these walls. You can hear it, distant and soft, the slow gathering of cartwheels on cobblestone, a dog calling out into the grey, a vendor's voice rising and fading before it fully forms. You lie still for just a moment longer, feeling the solidity of the floor beneath you, the rough weave of the blanket across your chest, the quiet weight of the morning settling over everything. This is the Ludus Magnus, the great school. It sits in the shadow of the Flavian amphitheatre, so close that on certain mornings you can feel the Colosseum's presence like a held breath, vast, ancient, patient. Within these walls live perhaps 2,000 men, though you do not often feel the full weight of that number. The school is a world unto itself, organized and unhurried in its own particular way, a place of routines and repetitions that give each day its shape. You are not held here loosely. The gates are guarded, the days are measured, and your movements follow a rhythm that has been decided for you long before this morning. You are a gladiator, and even that word contains multitudes, because here in the Ludus Magnus, identity is more specific than that. The men around you are sorted by type, kept in their own quarters, trained in their own patterns. Some carry the heavy rectangular shield of the Mamillo, the fish-crested helmet sitting broad and low over their brows. Others train as 3x, moving with a lighter curved shield and a bent blade meant to search around armor. There are those who practice as secutor, smooth-helmeted and relentless, built for pursuit, and there are retiari, men of the net and trident who fight with almost no armor at all, whose combat is a kind of drifting, circling patience. Each type shapes not just what you carry, but how you move through space, how you hold your body, what your hands expect to feel. The equipment is not simply gear, it is a language your muscles are slowly learning to speak. What type you are, you already know in your bones. You know the weight of your particular helmet, the way your shield arm absorbs the shock of a practice strike, the angle your feet find naturally when you shift your weight to one side. This knowledge did not arrive all at once. It came through repetition, and the repetition begins again this morning, as it does every morning, according to a rhythm that has shaped men in this place for years before you arrived, and will shape them long after. The broad pattern of each day is clear. The precise hour of each thing settles into your body rather than your mind. You rise, you gather there with the others of your type, the morning still cool against your forearms, your breath visible for just a moment in the pale air. The trainers, the doctors, are already present, calm and watchful, moving slowly along the edges of the space. They are men who have often fought themselves, who carry the memory of the arena in the way they stand. They do not shout without reason. They correct with quiet precision. The weapons you train with are wooden, blunted, heavier than the real thing, designed to build strength and control without the edge of genuine metal. You strike at the practice post, the palace again and again, finding the same angle, the same footwork pattern, the same guard position returning each time you reset. The motion becomes a kind of breathing itself, a steady rhythm that fills the body and quiets the mind. Shield practice follows, angling, absorbing, pressing forward, stepping back, and through all of it, the doctors watch, occasionally touching a shoulder to adjust a stance, speaking in low, measured tones. Somewhere in the morning, between the drilling and the rest, there is food. The meal is simple and deeply familiar by now. Barley, most often boiled, soft and warm, filling in a way that sits in the belly for hours. Beans alongside it, thick and earthy, and sometimes oatmeal with dried fruit stirring through it, figs or dates, their sweetness a small and gentle pleasure in an otherwise plain bowl. There is also ash, yes, ash from plant matter, mixed into the food or taken separately, believed by the physicians here to strengthen bone and tissue, to give the body a density that ordinary eating does not. It is an acquired taste, or more honestly, it is something you have simply stopped noticing. The men who eat this way have been called hordeari, barley eaters, a name said with something between mockery and acknowledgement. You are a barley eater. Your body is a carefully tended thing, and this is part of how it is tended. Because the body matters here in ways that go beyond strength. After training, there is time for the hands of a masseur moving slowly across the muscles of your back and shoulders, working out the gathered tension, smoothing the places where strain has pooled overnight. The school employs physicians, men trained in the Greek tradition, careful observers who move through the quarters regularly, checking injuries, monitoring healing, watching for anything that might compromise what the body is being preserved for. You are in a real sense an investment. The lanista who oversees this school has paid for you, and you are worth more whole than broken, and yet beneath all of this care, beneath the routines and the warm food and the hands of the physician, there is something that rests quietly at the edge of awareness. You do not fight often, perhaps 2 or 3 times in a full year. If that, each event a munus, a public spectacle, a moment of consequence that the rest of your days exist in preparation for. The men who have been here longest carry that knowledge in a particular way, a stillness behind the eyes that has nothing to do with peace and everything to do with understanding. The stone walls of the Ludus Magnus hold you safely today. The vast, ancient shape of the Colosseum waits beyond them, patient and golden in the gathering morning light. You breathe in the cool air of the training ground, feel the wooden grip warm slowly in your hand, and the day continues gentle and unhurried, one practiced step at a time. The morning moves slowly toward its middle hours, and something changes in the quality of the air. You notice it first as a feeling rather than a fact, a low, almost imperceptible vibration drifting through the stone beneath your feet, as though the earth itself is beginning to stir. The Ludus Magnus empties its ordinary rhythms and the doctors speak quietly among themselves. Today is not a training day. Today belongs to the city. Titus has given Rome more than 100 days of celebration, the Flavian amphitheater, this vast and ancient structure that has risen over years of stone and sweat and ceremony, is newly open to the world. The games have been unfolding across weeks now, and the festival atmosphere has settled over the city like warm amber, long and golden, unhurried, a season of spectacle that the people of Rome are slowly breathing in. You move with the others through the tunnels that connect the school to the amphitheater, the passage low and cool and smelling of damp stone and old torchlight. The sound reaches you before anything else does. 50,000 people do not gather in silence. The sound is not sharp or startling. It is vast and slow, like the sound of a distant sea, a continuous soft roar that fills the tunnel ahead of you and settles warmly into the chest. You feel it in your ribs, you feel it in the soles of your feet, and as the passage curves and widens and opens into the dimness of the hypogeum, you stop and you stand, and you let the scale of it come to you gradually. The hypogeum is the world beneath the world, a labyrinth of corridors and chambers laid out beneath the arena floor above, where the light falls only in thin, warm shafts, through gaps in the timber and through the edges of trap doors that wait still and patient for their moment. You are below the sand now, below the place where everything is seen. Down here, everything is preparation. Handlers move quietly with their burdens. Wooden frameworks creak gently under tension. The smell is Tajages are set back in the dimness, but you sense them. There is a low sound from somewhere to your left, not quite a growl, not quite a breath, but something in between, something old and patient and enormous, a lion perhaps. The sound drifts through the stone and then fades, and the silence that follows feels heavier than the one before it. Further along the passage, something shifts its weight against iron bars, and the whole floor seems to shiver softly. There is a smell that accompanies this, something warm and dense and grassy, like dried hay, and something richer beneath it, a smell that the body responds to before the mind names it: elephant. The word surfaces slowly, almost gently. There is an elephant somewhere close in the darkness, patient and ancient, its great breathing steady and slow. The animals have come from distant places, from the golden grasslands, far to the south, from the forests of the east, from lands whose names are spoken rarely and with a kind of reverence. The rhinoceros is somewhere below too, its smell a distinct and heavy note beneath the others, something mineral and dark, the scent of an animal built entirely from weight and depth. They have been carried here across long distances, held through the journey, and now they wait in the soft dimness of the hypogeum for the mechanisms above to carry them upward into the blinding Roman sun. Above you, the Venetianese are already beginning. You know this because the roar of the crowd shifts. It softens and rises and softens again in long drifting waves, the rhythm of collective attention moving from one thing to the next. Dust drifts down through the gaps in the arena floor in faint golden columns, hanging still in the underground air. You can hear faintly the voices of handlers above, calm and low, and beneath those voices the distant soft percussion of feet on sand. Then a cry from the crowd, warm and extended, a sound like breathing, and the dust drifts a little more. Titus watches from the northern end of the amphitheater, his box elevated and draped in the colors of imperial ceremony. You cannot see him from here. You cannot see anything except the close, warm walls of the hypogeum, the hanging torchlight, the patient figures of the handlers moving with practiced calm between the cages. But you feel the weight of his presence the way you feel the weight of the crowd, as atmosphere, as pressure, as the knowledge that everything happening above this floor is happening in the name of something enormous and deliberate, somewhere nearby, a mechanism of wood and rope and counterweight. For now you stand quietly, in the cool underground dark, feeling the slow vibration of 50,000 people in the stone around you, breathing the ancient and layered air of the hypogeum, listening to the faint distant sounds of the morning hunt drifting down through the sand. The threshold between darkness and sun is very close. You rest against the cool wall and you wait, calm and still, while the world above turns slowly toward afternoon. The morning hunt fades slowly, like a tide withdrawing from stone. You feel it before you hear it, a gradual softening of the crowd's rhythm, the great breathing of 50,000 people settling into something flatter and quieter, less golden than before. The roar does not stop, it continues, but the warmth has gone out of it, and what remains is something heavier, more still, a collective mood that drifts down through the sand and the timber and the trapdoors like a change in weather. Above you, the Venetians have given way to the midday hour. You know what this means. The criminals are brought forward now, into the same sand that held the animals, into the same golden light. The crowd does not leave, Rome does not leave, but the sound they make is different. It is lower and more distant, as though the amphitheater itself has exhaled and not yet chosen to breathe in again. The dust still drifts down through the gaps in the arena floor, soft and golden and unhurried, but even the dust feels heavier now, settling more slowly into the underground air. You do not watch. There is nothing to watch from where you stand. The hypogeum holds you gently, as it has held you through the morning, its walls close and cool and smelling of wood resin and old iron and the deep warm musk of animals that have already been lifted into the light above. That animal smell lingers long after the creatures themselves have gone. It has soaked into the timber and the rope and the packed earth of the floor, and it wraps around you now like something ancient and unhurried, the scent of distant places, drifting quietly through a Roman afternoon. You move further into the passages and the sounds above grow soft and far away. Around you, in the warm half-darkness, your fellow gladiators wait, a man near the far wall, a murmillo, you think, from the curve of the helmet resting beside him, sits very still with his eyes closed and his lips moving faintly. A prayer, or the memory of one, or something between the two. His hands rest open in his lap, palms upward, and the torchlight touches the old scar that runs from his left wrist toward his elbow in a long pale light. Closer to you. Two others speak in voices so low they are almost nothing, almost just breath. One of them says something, and the other almost smiles, and the moment passes without disturbing anything. There is a kind of tenderness in it, in the whispered joke, in the almost smile, the tenderness of men who understand that words right now are mostly just warmth, just the reminder that another person is present and breathing in the same dim air. One of them reaches up and adjusts the cheek guard on his helmet, a small and careful gesture, the way you might smooth a fold in cloth before something begins. You think, softly and without urgency, of the numbers you have heard spoken in the quarters of the Ludus Magnus, in the low conversations after training, in the careful language of men who have been here longer than most, only a minority, they say. Only a minority survive many bouts. The words do not strike you like a blow, they drift, as everything drifts down here, gently and without sharp edges. You turn them over slowly in the quiet of your mind and you let them settle, the way dust settles, the way the smell of animals settles, the way all things that enter the hypogeum eventually come to rest. You look at your own hands, The barley and beans and long hours of training have given them a particular weight and solidity, a kind of calm density in the muscles and the joints. The physicians have maintained these hands carefully. The massages, the oversight, the steady, quiet attention to what the body costs and what it needs. You have been kept, all of you, the way something valued is kept, and still the scars accumulate on the men around you, slowly and honestly, each one a small, quiet record of a moment that was survived. A mechanism somewhere along the passage shifts and settles, wood groaning softly against rope, the counterweights breathing in their slow mechanical rhythm. A door opens somewhere further down and then closes, and footsteps move past without pausing. The hypogeum keeps its own unhurried time, indifferent to the mood of the crowd above, indifferent to the sun that presses down on the sand and the stone of the Colosseum's great golden bowl. The afternoon is coming. You feel it gathering somewhere above and ahead of you, still distant, still patient, like weather approaching across a wide plain. The gladiatorial combats, your hour, your specific and particular hour, belong to the afternoon. They always have. The program moves in its ancient order. First the hunt, then the midday hour, then the combats, then the slow fading of the sun over 50,000 faces. That order has not changed. It will not change. And so you wait here in the warm, dim stillness, breathing the layered air of the underground world, while above you the heavy midday mood drifts slowly toward its end. Around you, the hypogeum rests and breathes, and the dust falls through the gaps in the floor above in long, soft columns, golden and still, hanging in the underground air, as though time itself has slowed to something gentle and deliberate. You rest your back against the cool stone wall. You close your eyes. You listen to the faint and distant sound of the crowd, still breathing, still present, still waiting, as you are waiting for the afternoon to begin. The change comes to you first as a feeling in the stone. You are still in the half-dark when you sense it, a slow rising in the air like a breath drawn in and held. The crowd above is no longer that flat, heavy murmur of the midday hour. It is waking again. Gently at first, a distant rolling sound that brushes the ceiling of the hypogeum and runs down the pillars like rain along an old wall. The amphitheater is turning toward its final act, toward the part of the day that belongs to you. You open your eyes and the world below is the same and not the same. The torches burn with their soft, steady flames. The smell of resin and warm metal and sweat is still there, thick and familiar, wrapping itself around your lungs. But the silence of the men near you has changed. It is no longer the quiet of waiting without shape. It is the quiet of something about to unfold. Footsteps pass, calm and unhurried. The light tread of slaves and attendants who have done this many times, who know every turning of these underground passages. A voice calls a name. Another answers. Somewhere a gate is lifted, with a low wooden sigh, then lowered again, the mechanism breathing in its old steady rhythm. You stand. The stone floor is cool through the soles of your sandals, grounding you, anchoring you to this underworld that has held so many before you and will hold so many after. You feel the weight of the helmet waiting for you, the soft drag of the crested plume as you lift it. When you slide it over your head, the edges settle against your cheeks with a familiar pressure, cutting off some sounds and softening others, narrowing the world to the regular sound of your own breath. You are a gladiator of AD 80, one among thousands housed in the Ludus Magnus, just beyond these walls, drilled year after year under the eye of trainers, fed on barley and beans and fruit until your muscles thickened and your body became something dense and steady. You have heard the conversations on warm nights, voices low, speaking of how few men in this trade see their 30th year. You have heard it, and you have set it down somewhere quiet inside you, the way you set down all things that cannot be changed. Those words drift through your thoughts like someone touches your arm, a small grounding pressure through the leather of your manica. You turn your head slightly. Beside you is another fighter, his helmet shaped differently, his equipment lighter. You know him from the sands of the training yard, from the thud of wooden swords and the soft grunts that come with effort. Today, in the eyes of the crowd, you belong to different worlds. You are a murmillo. You feel the broad curve of the scutum against your left forearm, tall and solid as a door, its wooden core bound in leather and metal. Your gladius rests in your right hand, short and balanced, and near to your body. Your helmet, heavy and enclosing, carries the profile that ties you to Rome's own soldiers, a crest sweeping back, a sturdy brim, cheek guards that frame the narrow grille of your vision. You are weight and defense, and close, careful steps across from you, in another line forming in the shadows, the retiarius lifts his own gear. No helmet, no shield. Just a wide, weighted net coiled in one hand like a sleeping creature, and in the other a long trident, its 3 points dim in the low light. On his shoulder a metal guard shaped like a small, curved wing. His body is quicker, unarmored in places where yours is wrapped in protection. You have seen him move before, light and restless as water circling, waiting. This is the pairing the crowd loves to see, heavy against light, shield against speed, gladius against net and spear, 2 ways of moving, 2 ways of being, brought into one frame of sand. A handler gestures, calm and slow, and you move toward the ramp. Around you, others are doing the same. Secutors adjusting their smooth helmets, threses running gloved fingers along the ridge of their curved blades. None of you rush. The day has been long and layered, and you step into its last part without haste. The ramp rises, wood beneath your feet, stone close on either side. With each step, the sound above grows larger, but the helmet's embrace keeps it soft, as though you are hearing the sea from far away, not 50,000 people from a few arms' lengths of air. Then you are there. You step out onto the sand, and the light pours over you like warm water. The afternoon sun leans toward its slow descent, casting the arena in a deep golden glow. The grains of sand are hot beneath your soles, shifting a little as you plant your feet, fine as powder, where they have been raked and smooth between bouts. The air smells of dust and oil and faint blood, all thinned out by heat and time until it becomes just part of the day's long breath. Around you rises the vast stone bowl of the Flavian amphitheater, its tiers layered above. Faces blur into color and motion. A living ring circling the space where you stand, at the north end of the amphitheater. Raised above the rest, you know the imperial box is there. Within it, Emperor Titus watches, calm and present, the man whose name threads through every corner of this building, who offered these 100 days of games as a kind of vast public rite to mark the opening of the Colosseum. You cannot pick his face from the distance, but you can feel the direction of his gaze, as though a single point of quiet exists somewhere high above you, balancing the shifting sea of the crowd. You take your place. The retiarius takes his. For a long, soft moment, you simply stand there together in the golden light, 2 figures shaped by years of training and diet and discipline, meeting in the wide, quiet circle of the arena. Your heart beats, steady and unhurried, each pulse moving through the armor and the padding, down into your hands and your feet. Then you move. The clash that follows is not a chaos, but a kind of slow, dreamlike dance. You advance in measured steps, scutum lifted, gladius close, your body a small fortress drifting across the sand. The retiarius circles, light on his feet, the net breathing in his hand with each swing, the trident probing, testing the spaces between your shield and your legs. The crowd reacts to each motion, but from where you stand, wrapped in your helmet's soft echo, their noise does not crash over you. It rolls, a far-off wave against stone, rising and falling gently as you and your opponent weave patterns in the dust. When your shield meets the shaft of the trident, there is a dull, intimate sound that belongs only to the 2 of you. When his net brushes your arm and fails to catch, it is your own small exhalation you hear most clearly. Time stretches. You remember in some far corner of yourself, men at the ludus speaking of how rarely a gladiator truly enters the arena, enough times to be known, not so many that care is lost, each bout its own world, its own narrow bridge over a deep place. Those thoughts do not hurry you. They are like clouds far off at the edge of your vision, while here in the center there is only the warmth of the sun on your shoulders, the grip of the sword in your hand, the fine grit of sand that clings to the sweat on your calves. A signal sounds gentle but clear, cutting through the blur of the crowd. The bout draws toward its chosen end, your movements narrowing, becoming more precise, less like exploration and more like the final turns of a long, slow spiral. You feel the weight of the moment, and then you feel it pass. Later in the afternoon, you watch from the shaded edge of a passage. The duel unfolds differently. Where your own bout moved swiftly toward decision, theirs stretches into something strange and almost tender, Two skilled fighters matched so closely that the crowd feels the balance and leans toward it. Stroke for stroke, step for step, each man answers the other, neither yielding, neither falling. The air thickens with attention. You feel it on your skin, the way 50,000 people can hold their breath together without quite knowing they are doing it. You watch as sweat darkens their tunics, as their chests rise and fall with heavier breathing, as their movements remain clean even through fatigue. You know what such discipline costs, how many mornings and evenings it takes to carve that steadiness into flesh and bone. At last, the moment comes. Both men stand, wounded but alive, still facing one another, still capable of another exchange, another risk, and yet something in the pattern has reached its natural end. The arena settles into a deep, expectant hush, a quiet so complete you can almost hear the small clicking of armor as Varus shifts his weight, as Priscus adjusts his stance. Then the emperor rises. The gesture is simple, but it moves through the amphitheater like a change in weather. Titus extends his hand. In it is not the sign of death, not the sharp sentence that so often concludes these afternoons, but the soft, pale shape of a wooden sword, the rudis, symbol of freedom. One is given to Varus, one to Priscus. For a heartbeat, the whole arena seems held in stillness, as if the building itself is listening. Then a sound swells up, not raw, not harsh, but warm and astonished, a vast, soft exhalation of joy and relief that flows over stone and sand alike. You feel it tremble faintly through your feet, up through your legs, into your chest. You watch as both men lower their weapons, not thrown down in anger, but laid aside with a kind of wonder. Seasoned gladiators, now released from the shadow that has followed them for years, stepping out of the narrow path that led always back to this ring of sand. Their faces, even at a distance, seem looser, almost lighter, as if something tight has at last unclenched inside them. The moment does not erase the weight you carry, that the path you walk is narrow, that the years in this trade are rarely many. But for an instant, the possibility of another ending hangs in the golden air like dust, shining where the sun catches it. Gradually, the combats wind down, pairs step into the arena, and then leave it, some walking firmly, some supported under the arms by attendants, guided toward the small doors that lead to the treatment rooms. You feel your own body beginning. You descend again into the hypogeum's dim corridors, the shift from sunlight to torchlight like drifting back into water. The physicians meet you with practiced calm, their hands steady, their voices low. They wash sand from your skin with warm, slightly gritty water, dab at grazes with cloths that smell faintly of herbs and vinegar. When their fingers press into the muscles of your shoulders, kneading gently to keep them soft and pliable, you feel the tension melting out, little by little, around you. Other men lie on benches or sit with their backs against the walls, heads tipped back, eyes half closed. Some murmur to one another. Some say nothing at all, letting the touch of the doctors and masseurs speak for them. The air is warm and humid now, full of the mingled scents of oil, sweat, cloth, and the faint metallic tang that lingers after blood is cleaned away. Time loosens. The sounds from above grow thinner, not gone, but more scattered patches of applause and talk drifting down between longer stretches of quiet. The day's program is ending. People begin to leave their seats, stone steps carrying them away in slow, shuffling rivers. Cloaks are lifted around shoulders, sandals scuff. Vendors call in softer tones, their work almost done. You climb once more to the edge of the arena as the sun leans low. The light now is different. It pours into the Colosseum at an angle, long and golden, turning the lingering dust in the air into visible streams like thin veils hanging from nothing. The upper tiers glow pale honey, while the spaces beneath the arcades deepen into a cool, restful blue. The sand itself has quieted, its surface scarred by the day's passage, but calm, still no longer churned by running feet. Here and there, attendants move slowly across the arena, rakes in hand, drawing gentle lines through the top layer of sand, smoothing it back into order. A stray piece of broken spear is lifted and carried away. A single dark stain is covered, new sand falling like a soft curtain over what came before. The crowd thins tier by tier. The great stone bowl that not long ago vibrated with the breathing and beating hearts of so many now begins to feel vast in a different way, open, echoing, almost contemplative. The scattered voices you still hear are small and clear, no longer swallowed into a single roar. A laugh here, a snatch of conversation there. The sound of a child's light feet skipping downstairs. The emperor's box empties. Courtiers and attendants drift away. The figure of Titus himself withdraws, leaving behind only the memory of his quiet gesture, that double gift of all those bodies, all those eyes, each one carrying its own world of worries and wishes, now scattering back into the streets of Rome as the light fades. You breathe. The air is cooler now. A soft, almost pleasant breeze moves across the arena, touching the sweat on your skin and leaving a gentle chill in its wake. You taste the faint dryness of dust as you inhale, and with each breath out, your body seems to grow a little heavier, a little more ready to rest. One by one, the last spectators vanish through the arches. Their footsteps recede along the corridors, distant and hollow, then fade. The vendors stop calling. The guards' voices drop to a low murmur. A few birds cross the open sky above, small and dark against the deepening blue. The Colosseum grows quiet. You stand for a while longer in that widening stillness, feeling the stone around you return to its own slow time, a time measured not in cheers but in years and weather and the soft erosion of edges. The arena that a few hours ago held lions and executions and glittering duels is just a ring of sand now, resting under the open sky. Your body is tired in a way that feels honest and complete. The bruises and small cuts sting gently. Your muscles hum with the memory of exertion, of armor's weight, of the steady rhythm of movement, and yet beneath all of that, there is a deeper calm, a quiet acceptance that this day has happened and is now gently slipping into the past. You turn back toward the passage that will lead you home to the ludus. The tunnel is shaded, its stone cool under your fingertips as you trail your hand along the wall. Torches burn at intervals, their flames small and steady, making the air smell faintly of smoke and resin. Your footsteps are slow, unhurried, echoing softly, and then being swallowed into the deeper quiet of the underground behind you. The Colosseum settles. The last voices fade from the upper levels. A door closes somewhere with a hollow thud. A gate's metal teeth meet with a muted clink as it is drawn shut. The amphitheater's great, ancient body exhales, no longer holding the day's noise inside it. You walk with each step. The world grows gentler, the lines of stone and shadow softening, the day's vivid images drifting a little further away, like ripples smoothing out on water after a stone has sunk from sight. The memory of sun on sand, the distant roar of a crowd, the quiet astonishment of wooden swords held aloft. All of it remains, but it no longer presses. You reach a place where you can sit, where the stone is cool and the air moves in a slow, comforting way. You lower yourself with care, feeling every far above. The last light slips from the uppermost stones of the amphitheater. The sky darkens. Torches along the outer arches burn like quiet stars. Down here, in the calm and the dimness, you feel the day release you. There is no crowd, no emperor, no sand, just you and the stone and the warm, still air. You are resting. You are quiet. And then there is only silence.